Well, well, well. It looks like it's working. The dual stream does seem to be centered on the screen, so that's perfect. I'm gonna have to definitely check back on it as we go through this to make sure everything shows up the way it should. Oh, notification worked. Excellent. Glad. Yes. It does auto record these, and so I'm wondering if it's going to record both formats or just one. But Desco, just looking at everything. Excellent. You're watching the vertical version? If you weren't, you would see the sides. Oh, well, the black bars on the sides are because the camera is not on for the overhead. But that means if you're seeing it like this, you are not watching the vertical version. You would only see it like this, and it would fill up your screen if you were. Yes. I'm just looking at some stuff. Make sure everything is everything. It seems to be. So that's good. I mean, if you want to try and figure out how to get onto the vertical one, you definitely can. It does seem that you're the only one in here as of yet, and so that's the experiment is the vertical version going to be pushed out? Like, how is that going to work? Is it going to go into the live or to the shorts feed, or are people going to have to look for it directly like they do with the horizontal live streams? Don't get offered out. Basically, you've got to already be subscribed, and even then it apparently doesn't always notify. But I'm hoping that the vertical version will. We're gonna find out though. Let me turn this on. All right, so yeah, if you can see the sides of this, it's because you are on the horizontal. Yeah. Delvin, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. You gave me a snowflake, and I can like it. That's neat. Look at us learning stuff. I'm gonna flip this to this view. Let me show you what we got here. So I've got these 3 sheets of water decals. They're all from the My Shadowed Love series from Enchanted Goth Decals. Let me actually zoom that in a little bit more. So they're super cute. We're going to be using this one today. And then also this one. And then also this one. So we're going to make like a little family of dark romance. And then I'm going to paint these 2 with this polish. It's complementary to the color theme. I got it actually at PBE last year. It's called Important Fluffy Business. I've not actually used it for anything yet. So today is the day. And then I have these little black heart sequin things that I'm going to curve and put on top of that. So that's the plan. First though, we need to open these. They all come in these little plastic envelopes for their protection, but we don't need that. So we're going to get them all out of here. Okay. And then we're going to cut out the decals we want to use. We want to try and get them as close to the design itself as possible. We don't want the white perimeter because that's part of the decal, and we don't want that to be on the nail. So I am just going to cut these out. It's really hard to sometimes get one from the center because when it comes time to do the vertical cut, it's in a tight spot. So I'm just going to cut it out with the white and then clean it up after. That's how I do that. Ta-da! Let me get these others. Judging by the fact that no one else has showed up in here yet, I don't think that it does push it out in the vertical feed. That doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't, but just based on observation, I don't have high hopes that it does. One more. All right, so we've got those three cut out. Just get my trash scooted out of here. Okay, so for these, I don't need to apply a background color because they're full coverage and they are backed in white. If you want to ensure the brightest opacity, you can paint your nails white underneath, but it's not super necessary. Like these over here don't have any paint underneath them and they still look great. Well, you can't inspire others if they're not here yet. But yeah, definitely inspire them once they are. So I'm just going to take these and we're going to place them face down on our jelly stampers. This is my preferred application method. There are different ways that you can do this, but this is the way I like it. And then I'm going to take some water on this cleanup brush and we're just going to saturate the back. We want it to be very wet. That way the paper will slide off. Usually 10 to 30 seconds is plenty of time for this to sit, for it to become slippery, and you should be able to just pull it off when it is ready. Let me add a little bit more water. Any excess water is totally fine because you can tap it off. But yeah, you should be able to push it and see, it slides right off. If it's resistant, add more water. And then once you get that off, I just use my finger to tap and get up any of the excess, and then we'll let that sit for a second while I take the paper off the others, because we do want these to be very dry before we start. That way it reduces the amount of sliding. If they slide too much, you run the risk of ripping them. And we don't want to rip them. There we go. I'm just going to scoot them up out of the way and bring this down here for our stability purposes. Let me check this vertical one and see what it's looking at. I hate that I can't. Well, I can actually. There we go. There's a way right here. Slide that over. All right, let's see. The delay is several seconds long. Okay, yeah, so if I have my hand right here, it's not exactly in the center of the vertical one. So where is? That's too far over. So more like right here. It's slow because I have to keep looking and wait for it to actually move. So I guess so. Interesting. I don't think there's a way for me to control them separately. I'm going to just sit this right here because we're going to say that this is the center of the vertical, but it's not really. Let's just put this here. I'm gonna figure this out. We're calibrating. So that should. Oh, hi, Fifi. Welcome. We're doing a little calibration. We're testing a horizontal and vertical stream that's simultaneous. So I'm trying to see where the center of the vertical is. It seems like I've got this stamper in the center-ish now. And so I want to look at the horizontal and see the location of that. So it's still pretty centered on the screen, but typically I often offset my hand because of my camera. So I will have to be conscious of that in order for it to be in the center of the vertical, it actually needs to be in the center of this screen. Okay, we're learning. All right, let me scoot this back. And so we'll get to application. Ugh, when I look at it on that screen, it's just more delayed. So I'm going to look at it on this one. So I'm going to use this sticky base coat. So we put a layer of this on there, thin layer, and give it about 30 seconds to get sticky, tacky. And then we're able to apply our decals. So I do one nail at a time. If we do more than one at a time, then the next one is likely to be dry before we get to it. So I'm going to just put that on there and we'll give that about 30 seconds. You didn't miss much. We've mostly just been figuring it out. So I have... this series of water decals. They are My Shadowed Love from Enchanted Goth Decals. I took a picture from each one of these sheets and we're gonna put them on my 3 center nails as like a shadow valentine family. And then I have this polish that I am going to put on my extra fingers. And then I have these little black hearts that I'm going to use to decorate those. So it should be pretty cohesive, but also quick and easy. All right, I don't know how long it's been. I ain't been paying attention, but I just check the tackiness and it seems to be tacky. And so for this first one, I need to change the order in which they are. I'm doing this one because she's facing inwards and I feel like that would make the most sense placement wise. So because I can't see through this, what I like to do is turn it around and then look at it this way to make sure I'm placing my nail in the right location. You definitely want to try and get it high enough, so just be mindful. Check all your edges and then gently roll that on there. And then I start from the center and roll outwards. If you slide, you run the risk of ripping it. So just roll it to work on getting the wrinkles smoothed as much as possible. And then we can also check and see about our placement, because wherever you put it, it is sticking because of that sticky base coat. So I can see that I have got most of her head up here, and I did get her face at least. And so I feel like that's the important part. I would have liked to possibly get it slightly higher, just so it's a little bit more centered and we have a little bit less of this dark down here, which is her clothes. But overall, I think it's an acceptable placement. I'm going to leave the edges on for now while we get the rest of it applied, because that will give the time for the sticky base coat to really dry down, so that when we rip these edges off, it's less likely to over rip. But let's put our next nail of sticky. You want to get that all the way to the edges because it's only going to stick where it is. Y'all let me know if this gets off center, because I'm looking at the big screen version of it. If I want to look at the little screen version of it, I have to do it in the studio, but it's a little bit more delayed showing there, so I don't actually know where I'm located until I go look at it, and sometimes I have to sit for a second for it to catch up. I have the latency on low, but it's still not that low. There is an ultra low setting, but it takes away some sort of feature. I don't know what, so I don't experiment with it much, but today is an experiment and it's going well. I think it looks like the stream is streaming well, unlike when I tried to do it through an add-on app, so I'm pleased with that. And if we can make this workable, then this would be the way that I would prefer doing it, so that you can watch it horizontal if that fits your device better, or you can watch it vertical if that fits your device better. But what we are coming to understand is that it does not have the benefit of running it as a mobile stream, and so it doesn't put it into the feed. Let's check on this. See, I'm waiting for it to catch up in the screen so I can see if we're even in the right location. Yes. Okay. Now this one is shorter than the others. This is a medium length decal, so I'm gonna have to be extra diligent about placement because it's only just barely gonna even fit on the nail, and we want it to be all the way on there, not have a gap. So we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to just line this up with the bottom all the way down as far as possible, because I know that we need every bit of space available. So I got that on there, and then I'm going to roll it upwards and push it to the sides. There we go. All right, so it looks like the placement is actually successful. That's good. Over here, it turned out the decal was a little bit shorter than the nail, and so there was a gap at the top, and so I had to do some modifications with paint, and that was unfortunate. But this one looks good, looks nice and centered. We did get it all the way to the top, and it does cover the nail, so that's going to come out looking really nice. I heard it make a noise, but I don't see what it says. Let me look at it in the other version. Maybe it was just for the hearts. Or there's something there. No. Seems like the chat overlay is delayed. Whatever. Alright. So we've got that one on there, and we're just going to let that one hang out while we do the next one. Let's get the sticky placed on that one. That was way too much. Let's wipe that off. All right, and I'm going to close this up because we're not going to need it anymore after we get this one put on. And then that just needs to sit for the 30-ish seconds. You know what? I need like a sticker or something put on here. Maybe like right here. That way I can know that's the center. And that way I wouldn't have to keep looking over there. That's probably smart. This dot is unfortunately too far to the side, but surely I have a sticker somewhere I could put here. I definitely do, actually. I want it to be kind of small. I have a stack of stickers over here on the side that have come from brands and stuff, but I want to put them on my walls. Yeah, because these are all too big anyway. I just need a little heart or something. Here's what we'll do. I'll take one of these sequins and I'll just sit it there. It might get blasted out of the region, but we can only do what we can do right now. You stay here to let the screen know that's the center. It looks like these hearts are actually a couple of different sizes, which I like. That way we can have a little bit of variety. Yeah, let me scoot it over just a little bit. We'll say that's the center of this vertical one. Well, almost. Let's scoot it a little bit more. There we go. I think that's right. Now I can look at it back on this software so it's easier for me. Let's see here. Well, now I can't see the thing. Ha! Silk pat. Oh, a bad pattern. Gotcha. I used to actually, I had a table that I had some like masking tape framing, but that was for this version, and just having my hand here covers up the heart, so I can't even see where it is. It's just because it's such a tight zoom in, it's hard to know on the vertical one. Like the horizontal one, there's so much screen space, but this vertical one is tiny, tiny. So I'm trying to stay in the center of that one. Good Lord, I just put this face down like a weirdo. All right, now we got to get this one put on. I hold it the right direction. But I can see at least right now I'm holding it in the right place because I had my hand out the way. So we're going to try and get this centered. Luckily, his head starts a little bit lower, so we should be able to get all of him on there. I don't think we're going to get any of his wings, unfortunately. But I mean, your fingernails are only as wide as they are. We got him a little crooked, dagnabbit. As you can see, his head is off a little bit, but it's also to the side. Not happy about that. I would like to be able to slide it, but that's just too dry. I don't think it's going to go. I'm trying, but I don't want to rip it. I don't know if that moved at all, actually. If it were still wet, you can move it a little bit, but that also makes it hard to stick on there. So we're going to have to live with it like that, unfortunately. But I think it did actually move a little bit, because as I'm pushing this down, I can see around the edges here that it is on there. So maybe we were able to do something. Get that on there real good. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we're going to lose his wings. That's okay. All right, so Now comes the removing the excess part. And so the way I like to do that is just to snap it off with my tweezer. Once that's dried on there really well, these are very thin and soft, so they typically just rip. And if you can rip it really well along the edges, that leaves very little cleanup. Any excess cleanup, though, that we do have to do, we're going to do with a cleanup brush dipped in acetone. Now, these decals are a bit acetone resistant, and so that's a double-edged sword. It is good because you're less likely to mess them up by accident, but it also means you have to work a little bit harder to melt them and to clean up those edges. So that's just something to be mindful of. I do love these decals. I have quite a few. I've put in probably 3 orders now since they came out, which was actually super recently. If you like water decals, I definitely recommend checking these out. They're not all spooky themed. Like, yeah, it's called Enchanted Goth Decals, but not everything is goth if that's not your vibe. But it's definitely mine. I'm just going along these edges, peeling it up a little bit at a time to try and get it as neat and close as possible. I have a little sliver of nail exposed over here because it wasn't pushed down all the way, and I ended up placing my tweezer high enough to tear that. Let's grab these down here. This is probably the slowest part. And I smacked it. There we go. And then there's a little bit here across the end. We'll go ahead and snatch that off too. So that's looking pretty good. That's not going to leave us a ton of cleanup work to do. I'm going to go around this up here, and to get it as smooth of a perimeter as possible, I got to peel these other ones off first though. And then this one. Just bear with me while I do this part. My little decal bits are sticking in my tweezer. Yeah. All right, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and get this last one. Here we go. I think I got all that pretty well. Yeah. All right. I heard something, but I don't see anything new. I think it's just that last message coming through. So now I'm going to take my little cleanup brush and dip it in acetone, and I'm just going to go around the edges of this and melt and smooth. So it does look like it's on the screen. That's good. You got to dip your acetone brush off on paper towel from time to time. See what this right here is what I mean by it's acetone resistant, because like as you can see, it's not just completely shriveling up and disappearing like some water decals do. And so you just have to work a little bit harder to make sure that you are able to melt it or shrivel it in a way that looks good. But there's not a great way to do this ahead of time, because you can't guarantee that it's going to fit your nail right if you do. So it's just one of those things you have to kind of work on a little bit and do your best. Yes, Delvin, I see that in the chat box, but not on the overlay yet, though I wasn't looking when it happened, and I think it only stays sitting on the overlay for a moment. So what we can do though is listen, and if I hear the sound that it makes, I'll look over and see if it's because of that. Doing this around the edges, whether it needs to be melted off or not, is a good idea because it helps to create a seal on the edge of the nails so that they're less likely to lift up. I do have a peel off base coat on underneath this because I always do a peel off base coat, but I don't want them to peel off before I'm ready. So I try and make sure we have good edges. There we go. That one I think is pretty good. And then giving it some time to dry after you go around the edges is a good plan, because it can get a little sticky where the paper is melted a little bit. So once I do give it a few minutes to dry while I work on these other ones, I'll go back and tap the edges just to make sure that they are smooth. And then after it's completely done, you can take a buffer and rub it underneath to make sure any rough bits are gone. The Mega Claws. Actually, that overlay popped up pretty quickly, so that's good. So I don't do well with Mega Claws. I really don't. It does make my life a little bit hard. I can't hardly type at all, but I don't wear them very long, like for long periods of time. So I'm able to function enough to get by, but it's definitely not something I can do full time. So I did have those super long nails on while I was on vacation from work, but now that I'm back, I can't. Like these I just put on this weekend. I did have a little bit shorter of nails on, and this is about the maximum length that I can function in. And even then, sometimes it makes my typing a little bit inaccurate, because when you're used to your finger placement just without looking at it, and your nail length changes, sometimes you're pushing buttons that are beyond your finger placement because you're not used to it. Fortunately for me, I type vertically with my nails up and down. I'm not a flat typer, so it's less of a problem, except for the ones where I curl underneath. Like if I have to do a lower row, that's where I get into the most trouble. overhang under here. I'm trying to get it off without messing up the image. So I like to push a little bit inwards. You can see it under here. With enough effort, like that will melt loose and we can get it off. There we go. Just gotta be really careful. Oh yeah, no, you would definitely not be able to roll anything. If you've got to be able to use the end of your fingers, it's a no-go. I think, luckily for me, my lifestyle limits the amount of things I need to be able to touch with the end of my fingers. I know picking up change is really, really hard. So I usually have to like slide it off the table. If it's on the ground, might as well consider it lost. And then, like, obviously, as you can imagine, I don't open cans with these. I have a tool for that. Because nails are jewels, not tools. I want this top edge to be smoother. It's a little meh. I'm going to use this to kind of push it a little bit. I think that made a difference. Oh man, you know what's the hardest is to get my card out of the gas pump. If your nails are too long, you can't push them far enough back to actually get a hold of the card. I got one of those little pincher tools to help deal with that, but it was on a keychain and my keys take a lot of abuse, and so it ended up just getting broken. So it's not a reliable tool now. I have since, though, switched to just using my phone at the gas pump instead of my physical card, so I don't have to worry about trying to get it out of the machine. That's helpful. Ugh, my hair. And this part up here has got some snaggly edges. I'm going to try and get that to look good. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the little card grabber things. Yeah, but you know what, you're right too. Like when I go to Aldi and it wants me to put the quarter into the cart, sometimes I can't get it back out. And I'm like, well, that's lost to me. I try to like jam the thing in really hard to try and make it as springy as possible so it'll pop it out a little bit more. But sometimes it's just not enough and you can't get it out. This is coming along pretty well. Got little snaggly edges, but I'm getting them on there. And then that buffing after will help with any textural issues. All right. Let me go in and just tap all these edges down to try and get them to be as smooth as they can be. we go. Now, let's see what we have here. I'm gonna wait for it to catch up so I can see placement. Okay, yeah. So that's looking pretty good. Let me turn it a little bit more because the camera is technically over to that angle now. We've been experimenting on placement of the camera also to try and help with the glare. Yeah, these are looking pretty good. I'm going to take the Maniology Aqua Topper and cover these so that can start drying. Aqua Topper is a protective water-based top coat to keep your regular top coat from melting your nail art. So we're going to put that on there. And it helps give you a nice smooth finish also. It just does take a little bit of time to dry. But while we're waiting for this, we can get started with actually painting those other two nails. There we go. All right. Lurid Lacquer, Important Fluffy Business. Trying to open this delicately. And then we'll do 2 coats. Let me turn this for finger comfort. It's got a super wide flat brush, so great for getting nail coverage, but you gotta be a little bit careful so you don't push it down too far and paint all over your hand too. There we go, that's that one. Oops. Let's not paint on top of our decal. That would be incorrect. Painting the thumb is always awkward because you have to hold your hand so funny. Alright, now I'm going to stick this in the nail dryer for about 60 seconds and then we'll do the second coat. You're probably not going to see much of anything but my arm. A little bit of my tattoo. It says we've had 13 views. That means somebody came in here. I don't know who, but I don't know if they're still here. I can't tell. Hey, 5 is pretty good, but that means some of the viewers are not chatters, which is fine if you're here to enjoy the show. Alright, let's go ahead and put our second coat of paint. Please turn off. There we go. It takes a minute for that nail dryer to kick itself off. I got a little bit outside the lines. Clean that brush. There we go. That's good. And then we gotta get this one. There we go. That looks really pretty. Now, I can see in the camera it's a lighter shade of pink. than it is to my view, but that's probably a lighting situation. But let me cure. Ha! This is air dry. Let me dry those. Well, hello, Nana Ange. Hello, Alicia. Welcome. Hello, LJW. Welcome. I'm just doing some nail decals and paint. Right now I'm drying it, but I'll show you what I got here in a sec. We're also doing this experimental streaming. So like YouTube has built in the capability to do the horizontal streaming and simultaneously do the vertical so that you can watch it in either format. Now, the way the algorithm works for YouTube is it will put your vertical mobile streams into the shorts feed, so it pushes it out to people, whereas the horizontal ones, it doesn't. And so I'm trying to see if I can run it through a regular stream, but then the vertical version also go into the shorts feed to be pushed out, but I'm starting to think it doesn't. I think it follows the same rules of the regular because technically that's the way it's coded. It's a cool capability, but without the algorithmic benefit of being pushed out, it still kind of sucks that you're not getting the exposure to new people, because I find live streams to be a really great way to grow subscribers who like what you do, but they're not being informed about it if you're doing it in the regular non-mobile format. But mobile limits your screen space and your feature capability. So it's a double-edged sword. Let me flip this around though so we can look at it. Hi Victoria, welcome. I wasn't sure if you were going to get notified about this because I'm not running it as a mobile. So this is also a thing because I'm looking at the large screen. I have a lot of screen space, so I have to keep checking to make sure that my hand is in the center of the mobile one since there's not a lot of space. So I've got these 3 fingers with these decals. We've got this woman and this child and this man, and it's like a dark Valentine theme. And then I've got these paints that are complementary, and we're gonna put some little heart sequins on those. But now that we've got this layer dried, we need to put a layer of top coat before we move on to our next bit of art. And then there's not going to be art on top of these. We're just going to get those to be finished and look good. It's all right. Glad you were able to make it. I wasn't sure if you were going to. Hi, Blue Rose Nails. Welcome. Let's get this delicious top coat. You guys know I love Sèche Vive. It's so thick. I definitely want to do as thick of a coat as possible on these decals. That way it creates a nice smooth finish. I may end up doing 2 coats. You don't typically need to unless you're using a particularly thin top coat, but that will depend on what it looks like when I am finished with it. We will make that assessment. Let's see here. It's snowing. I mean, yes, they are water decals. I didn't make them. The Enchanted Goth decals made them, but I put them on my hands. That I did. I think my bottle's getting low. I need to tip it up. I have to refill it. I'll show you the sheets that I got these decals off of. They are super pretty. Painted all outside the lines on that one. I'm not very good at painting in the lines. So, let me grab these. So here is one of the sheets. Let me zoom this out a little bit. That'll help. Well, that's too much. Never mind. So it's got some really pretty options. And then here's another one. Also really cute. And then here is the third one that I used. Also very beautiful. My idea was that they're just like a little bit of a family. So there's a woman and then the baby and then the man. So that's kind of the vibe that I was going for this. I think they have come out pretty well. I wish I'd got hers a little bit lower in placement, but overall it's okay. So yeah, I gotta let these dry and then we're gonna put on these things. I'll use a sticky base coat and I will show you my super secret sequin curving technique. Bend this down so I can see that mobile one. Let me stick this in here while I catch up on the chat. It's hard for me to have lives on Friday, Victoria, because I work during the week. And so any opportunities I have are in my time in the evening, which is the middle of the night for you. Yes, exactly. That is why I prefer water decals over stickers, because they are seamless. Even if you use the clip art style that has a sticker, you just don't see the edges. And that's why I love them. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the She Modern stickers. I would definitely be interested in seeing if they're different. But yes, definitely go look at the variety available on these Enchanted Goth decals, because they have so many designs. And you get to choose your length. So they have extra short for natural nail girlies, and they've got short, they've got medium, and they've got long. I used long on these, and this is actually a medium. My nail barely fit on it, but with having the length options, you can truly get designs that fit your nails. That's one of my favorite things about this brand. Thank you. Welcome, Wonder Woman. I appreciate you, Victoria. That's very kind. Definitely catch me when you can. And if you can't because it's not a good time, that's totally fine also. Let's check this dryness. Yeah. I think I might end up doing a second coat on these just because I can still feel the edges a little bit, and that'll help it smooth out. That one's not super dry, but it's dry enough to touch. So let's get some of these prepared. So I'm just going to get a little pinch of them out. One of them flew away. Ha! Well, it's gone. Let's see. Probably going to need a little bit more than that. There's static clinging to me. That's too many, but that's okay. Just going to spread these out a little bit so that we can curve them. All right, so they're not all stacked on top of each other now. So the way that I do this is I take a cuticle pusher and pick the flat end. Why do I already have one out? And then I just kind of use it to make crimps. I like to put one crimp in the center and then crimp the edges as well. And it makes them curve, kind of like ribbon curving. That one's staticking on here. Where did it go? I don't know. But this makes it lay flatter on the nail. You can't see what I'm doing because of the angle it's at, I think. Oh, there it went. It's over there. This way you don't have your edges sticking up. So I'm just going to do all of these. It's okay if I don't use all of them because I can put them back in the pot. That one is flipped over. I need that to turn back over. Yeah, I don't like my sequins to stick up on the edges, so doing this helps. If you can keep a hold of them. They do like to fly away. I don't know where that one went. Having this rubber mat underneath though to push against to give it, or gives it some flexibility. If you tried to do that on a hard surface, I don't think it would go as well. There we go. Let's make sure, oh, let's put that one back. It's got a little bit of a weird edge. I'm just checking to make sure they're all curved. This one's, I don't think I'm gonna need those. Let's put those back in there. I can get some more smallers if I need them, but I don't think so. Okay. I have this rhinestone picker tool. It also works for picking up sequins. Let's see what we talk about over here. I would appreciate you, absolutely. If you are able to catch me and give me a super chat, I will thank you. Alright, so I am going to take this sticky base coat again and just put a layer on top of this paint so that we can stick these little sequins into it. And again, I cannot stay in the lines to save my life. Alright, so I'm gonna flip these over. Probably be easier if I use the tweezers. Pardon me, this is a very slow and boring part. Goodness gracious. Yep. Alright, I think I've got them. That one tried to get away. So I kind of want to do like a bit of a ombre situation. Lord, is my thing all sticky. If your wax is not sticky, rub it on a rough paper towel. It helps to reinvigorate the texture, but apparently this is going to be an ass. I don't have another one with me. This one is so raggedy. I got it from Temu, and it works sometimes, but I don't know, this black wax is weird. I'll just pick it up. That's annoying. Let's see. Let's put that one here. I want a small one on here also. Try and put it right here. Need to make sure I'm actually in the screen. Please, get off of there. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna make sure they are completely pressed down. Have good contact. I like that. That's alright, right? Let's let the camera catch up. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Maybe I should squeeze another one in right here, another small one. I wonder if I can. I think I would like to. Because I really wanted it to be kind of dense across the bottom. Yeah. Oh, and it's upside down. Amazing. Luckily it's almost dry, so it wasn't super stuck on there. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's better, I think. Okay, let's put some sticky over here on this one. Oh, well, thank you, Victoria. I appreciate you. Let me give you a little heart and a little thumbs up. Thank you so much for your generosity. You definitely don't have to, but I always appreciate the support. Let's see about getting some of these put in here. Come on. Let me get a hold of this. Dang, I didn't end up with very many small ones left out. I kind of wanted that to lean the other way, but it is what it is. Doing this nail upside down is a little awkward. Ugh, I just stuck my finger to it. It's gross. I think I need another little one. I might have to get some more out. Ugh. Excuse me. There we go. Yeah, I've run out of little ones. I might be all right without some more because I just really need to do a couple more of this on here, like floating up is the idea. My thing is getting sticky, so I think I can probably, I wonder, that's what I should have did, was just make the end of this sticky. Maybe like that. I think that looks good. Like, I wonder if I should get a small one out. I don't know. It's not entirely necessary, but there is one right here. Yep, and then I dropped it. I'm gonna see. Get that one out. It's on my finger. Let's see if we can. Like that, and then maybe one more. Because we need it to be a little bit balanced. That seems fair enough. It goes up much higher than this other one, but whatever. Let me just tap all these down. Okay. I'm going to put these other ones back in this container, and then we're going to top coat these. Goodness gracious. Static cling. Oh my gosh. Why is this so hard? They don't want to get off of me. Look. There's 3 of them that are just like fighting me. I keep putting them in here and they keep being stuck to my finger. This is how you get put in the trash. I'm trying to save these, but if this is the struggle that we're going to have to do, I will straight throw them away. Get off. Okay. Let me put up this pusher. Clean up your nail stuff as you go, and then you won't have as much to clean up after. It's a hard lesson to learn. How do you keep the small decals on? Well, sticky. So if you're using gel, then you want to put it on top of a sticky layer. So, you know, base coat, cure sticky. But for me, when I use regular nail polish, I just put on a layer of sticky base coat and let it get sticky, and that holds it down for the most part. If you get it curved good enough, that certainly helps. Yeah, anything that you need to stick it into something so that'll hold it, and then you've got to seal it in after. Whether you use a building product or multiple layers of top coat, if that is what is necessary, you just want to make sure that whatever you're using to cover it is thick enough in the end that you can't feel the edges. You need your edges to be completely covered in. Look at this. What is this heart doing over here? Get out of here, heart. Because if your edges are not sealed in, they're going to lift. There we go. I'm going over these decals again just because I want that nice, thick, smooth finish. And painting everywhere because of course I am. Once I get the pinky and the thumb dry, I am also going to assess if I should do a second coat of top coat on those. If I can feel the hearts still, I probably will. All right, so let me dry all of these things. Let me pop them in here while I catch it. What you can also use if you don't have a sticky base coat per se is a transfer foil glue. I use this one. It's Star Glue. It's air dry. You put it on, it's white. When it turns clear, it's super, super sticky. They have gel transfer foil glues. You can use those and stick your little decorations in them as well, and that'll hold them down. This one big heart on my pinky, I don't think I got it curved enough because the side of it is really trying to stick up. I can see it from here. All right, this one. Definitely put another coat on there, and I'm pushing it down, and as I'm looking at it, I can see that it's down, but it definitely wants to keep lifting up. So I'm just gonna put more top coat until it is completely sealed in. Yeah, I don't know that product, but I don't know why it wouldn't work if it's a sticky product. I'm gonna try and put a thick, generous coat of this on here. Be a little floaty with it. All right. Let's wipe off the edges because we don't want it to be fat. And the end. Let me look at it. It does look to be nice and sealed. I can't see it sticking up. So we gotta hope that that dries looking good. Sometimes if you put it on too thick, as it dries, it'll just cause it to be wrinkly. And then let's check out this one. I can feel them, so I'm gonna put a little bit more on here too. You can definitely encapsulate things with regular nail polish. You just have to do it in layers. I definitely need to put some more top coat in this bottle. I have a big refill bottle. All right. And I'm gonna wipe the edges on this too. That one looks good. Let me assess. Yeah, it looks good. I don't see anything sticking out. Close this up. It's snowing hard. Thank goodness it's not snowing here. I don't love the snow. All right, I'm going to feel these while those others are marinating. This feels pretty good. Yeah, I think we have a good finish. So for those, I'm going to take my little buffer and I just flatten this on here and just kind of rub it back and forth so that any texture that was underneath gets smoothed off. You can also do it by doing like this on the end if you have any that's kind of wrapped around. That just helps you get a little bit of a cleaner finish. Yeah. Wipe away any dust. Goodness, this pinky has such a thick bit back here where I just piled it on. It'll thin out as it dries, but it's gonna take a minute. I'm gonna stick it back in the dryer to speed that up, and I think I might even hold it upside down while I do. Yeah, let's do that for now. I know that you on the vertical one, whoever is on it, couldn't see what was happening because you can't see my face cam in there, but you can in the wide one, which is why I wish the algorithm would appreciate widescreen views. But thank you guys for coming and hanging out and watching my live stream. It's a lot more fun when there's someone to talk to. I'm going to put away these stampers while I'm drying this hand. We're almost done. It's really just finishing. Thank you, girl. I appreciate you. Let me turn that over and give it some drying from this angle. After this, I get to spend the rest of my day editing. I recorded 2 videos yesterday. They're for later. One of them's for the beginning of February, and one of them is actually for early March. But you gotta get them in when you can. Now I have to edit them, and that's the time-consuming part. We are live besties. Alright. Let me check on that. So that has helped to thin it out a little bit. It is getting drier. It's dry enough to be able to touch. I can still feel a little bit of these hearts, but that'll be fine. This is good. I can't feel these at all. So that's also good. They're getting a little wrinkly because of the outside drying faster than the inside, but as the day wears on and it dries all the way through, it'll thin out, and so it should have a good finish. I'll probably wait a little while before I do the photos. Now these, they are looking real good. Those light lines are nice and straight and smooth, so that's got a really nice outcome. Let's see if I can turn it for you to be able to look at it real good. Gotta do my hand weird. If my camera was on the other side, it would probably be easier, just for the way hands work, but that's not where I had the option of putting it. What do you think? Let me know. Are they cute? I think they're cute. Simple, quick in the loosest of terms, easy. Oh, Victoria, I'm so glad that you get joy from watching these. I get joy from making them. Absolutely. All right, let's put some cuticle oil on for these crusty, dusty hands of mine. I use a lot and then just rub it in. Pretend it's like lotion. It's totally fine. And then I also like to go underneath and just smear that under there. I don't know if there's really much benefit to it, but I believe that there is. I feel like the same benefits from using it on top would also apply to the underneath. So might as well. And I'll just rub that in. Perfect. I'm so glad. All right. Well, that is it. We have successfully finished the nails, and they're cute. I'm gonna definitely get photos of them. I'm gonna wait a little bit though for these pinky especially to finish drying, and so you'll see shorts of these popping up on your favorite timelines in the near future. Thank you again for coming and hanging out and watching and chatting and all that good stuff. Definitely make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and hit the like button for this live stream. That way YouTube knows that we had a good time, and maybe it'll tell other people next time. Oh, Jess, don't worry. It'll have a playback. And I'll at some point be editing these things down for highlights. We'll see. But the playback will be there. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.